Well, good morning, and thank you all for joining us today as we announce another important initiative in our ongoing efforts to help students and families pay for college. I'm delighted to be here today with our treasurer, Deb Goldberg, Gabrielle King-Morse, the Massachusetts Executive Director for uAspire, Jim Rooney, President and CEO of the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce, Rob Mccarron, Vice President of the Association of Independent Colleges and Universities in Massachusetts, and Ruth Kerrigan, Director of Guidance at Whitman-Hanson Regional High School. This is a really exciting but also anxiety-provoking time for so many families and high school seniors around this state. Colleges and universities this week are sending out acceptance letters. Our message to our seniors and to their families is this. We want you to have all the opportunity in the world. We want you to have a terrific college and higher education experience. But we also want to help you make smart and informed decisions. You should know how much it's going to cost to attend college and how much you and your family are going to have to pay. Because helping families struggling with student loans is a top priority for my office. Just yesterday, the Consumer Federation of America reported that $137 billion in federal student loans are in default. $137 billion in student loans are in default across this country. That's a major increase from last year. And nationwide, student loan debt is $1.3 trillion and growing. Now, as I travel around this state, I meet people in every city and town who are struggling with student loan debt. I talk to students, I talk to parents, I talk to so many people who've already been out in the workforce 10, 20, even 30 years who are still drowning in boatloads of student debt. That's why my office has focused on this as an important initiative, and it's why we're going to continue to work with our wonderful partners on this issue. Now, in the past 2 years, my office has taken on predatory for-profit schools. We've changed some of the practices around the servicing of student loans, and we've helped rewrite the rules at the U.S. Department of Education. More than a year ago, we established a first-in-the-nation unit dedicated to helping students with their loans. It's our Student Loan Assistance Unit. We set that up so that students and families struggling with their payments would have a place to turn for help. We've also been able to help thousands of students find affordable repayment plans, resolve defaulted loans, and worked with them to have their debt discharged. But what we've seen from so many Massachusetts families is that they have so many questions that come up actually early in the process, and that many could use a little help and a little guidance before they take these loans on in the first place. That's one reason why last year I announced a partnership with Jim Rooney and the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce to create a student debt working group to develop concrete proposals to help Massachusetts students pursue quality, affordable higher education. I'm so glad to be joined here today by some of our working group members, including Tom Graff from MIFA, Dina Papalikanow from the Massachusetts Department of Higher Education, Julie Lammers from the American Student Assistance, David Kaufman, Massachusetts Community Colleges Executive Office, Michael Weeks from the Providers Council, Bob Giannano from uAspire, and Bob Hildreth from Inversant. Together with our working group and in partnership with uAspire, this new initiative will help students and families by providing tools and guides to help them better understand the financial aid award packages that they're now going to be receiving in the mail. I know looking through and figuring out those packages aren't very easy, and I'm a lawyer. Acceptance letters are not straightforward. Financial aid award letters are really difficult and can be confusing and very hard to make decisions as you're comparing your options. So what we've done is set up this initiative because it's really important to us that families and students have all the information at their hands. As you can see, if you look at what we've set up here as a typical award letter, financial aid award letter, you'll see that many award letters, they don't clearly point out the differences between what are scholarships and grants and what are actually loans that students are going to have to incur and take on. Loans which, by the way, need to be paid back with interest. Sometimes the award letters don't even list what it's actually going to cost, the full cost of going to college. And as you can see here, there's no information in this award letter about what the actual cost of college is going to be. It doesn't list tuition, it doesn't list fees or room and board. And as you can see, it's sometimes hard to tell if the school is expecting parents to also take on additional loans. All of this information is really important if you're going to make an informed decision about taking on loans to pay for college. These letters should be easy and clear to compare. So we've put together a new resource to help students and families understand and compare these financial aid award letters. On our website right now, if you go there, you will find information and links to additional nonprofit, state, and federal resources to help you figure out how much each school is actually going to cost and how much you're going to need to borrow to get there. And the Attorney General's Student Loan Assistance Hotline is ready and available to answer questions and provide assistance. In the meantime, we're going to be putting our heads together to see if there are other ways we can make these financial aid award letters even easier to understand and to use. To any high school students or parents watching, I want to be clear. College is a great investment. It's okay to take out loans. We just want to put you and your families, your children in the best position for success. Before you decide where you're going to enroll, we want you to understand how much you're going to owe when you graduate, how long it's going to take to pay that money back. I hope that these resources will make these choices, these decisions easier and lead to better outcomes for students and families across this state. Congratulations this week to all high school seniors. The best is ahead. We look forward to supporting you in maximizing terrific higher educational opportunities and wish you and your families the very best. At this time, I'd like to call to the podium our treasurer, Debra Goldberg, who spent a lot of time and commitment on issues of financial literacy.
Thank you. I can't tell you how pleased I am to stand here with our Attorney General in support of these new resources that will help students and families better understand their college financial aid awards. Unfortunately, we in the Treasurer's Office know students and families in Massachusetts lack the financial skills they need to save for post-secondary education. Uninformed decision-making causes many families to struggle to pay down debt during college, even after graduation, even after having a good job, a spouse, double incomes. They're held back from being able to really fill our skills gap and be able to be consumers, buy new homes. It affects our economy. In fact, there was a girl in Haverhill that I saw recently who had attended one of our College for Life fairs. It took that fair to understand the difference between an unsubsidized loan and a subsidized loan. You know what her parents told her when she received those letters that the Attorney General was talking about today? Oh, don't worry about the loans. Just pick the college that you want to go to. But the good news is we were able to outreach and make sure that she had access to that information. That's what today is about, getting information to kids and their families before they become too encumbered with debt that can really crush them. So the new hotline and the new resources will be critical to understanding, and that will lead to greater economic stability for the student, their families, and our entire economy, because they can become thriving members of our economy. Those are the goals that drive our Office of Economic Empowerment. And so I'm very proud that our Deputy Treasurer, Elena Van Tassel, serves on the subcommittee that helped spark this idea, and that the Chamber and the Attorney General were so enlightened to see that this was a strategy that made sense. Our many different initiatives, including our college savings plan, which we partner with Bob Hildreth and with Tom Graff on, shows that there is collaboration throughout all the offices here with the goal of making sure that kids and their families have great opportunities. We want to increase financial literacy in everywhere that we can, and we look forward to ongoing work with the Attorney General's office. Together we will ensure that all Massachusetts residents have the information that they need to attain higher education, either any kind of post-secondary education that will cost them money, but is an investment in all of our futures. Thank you to the Attorney General for doing this, the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce, uAspire, and all of the partners that we have here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Goldberg. And now I'd like to introduce Gabrielle King-Morse, the uAspire Massachusetts Executive Director, who was our partner on this particular initiative.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We are so grateful to have this opportunity to work with the Attorney General's Office, the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce, and the Student Debt Working Group on this really important issue. At uAspire, we provide students and families across Massachusetts and across the country with the guidance and information that they need to make sound financial decisions when making their college choice. Reviewing and understanding financial award letters is a key step in this process. Award letters can be confusing, and they vary greatly from one to the next in how the information is presented and what language is used. It can be very difficult to determine if money awarded on a letter is actually a scholarship, a grant, or a loan that needs to be paid back. Choosing where to go to college is a major financial investment for anyone, second only to buying a home. Making the wrong college choice can be financially devastating, not just to the student, but to that student's entire family. At uAspire, we have over 30 years of experience analyzing and comparing award letters, and we can tell you it is not easy and it is not straightforward. But it can be done, and it needs to be done by each student and each family. This time of year, when acceptance letters are arriving, we advise our students and families to first celebrate, then decide. Celebrate your acceptance to college, but don't decide where you're going to attend until you have reviewed all of your financial aid award letters and know your college choice is going to be one that you can afford. Before accepting an offer from any college, be 100% sure of what it will cost, what you will owe after you graduate, and have some idea of how you're then going to pay it back. From all of us at uAspire, we thank the Attorney General's Office for their leadership on this critical issue, for their partnership in providing information on their website, and for their advocacy for all students across the Commonwealth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gabrielle. Several months ago, Jim Rooney and I were having a conversation about sort of the state of the economy, the issues, the struggles facing families here. And at the top of the list in terms of things that we both believed we needed to take on was the issue of student debt. And together we worked with our teams to establish a student debt working group. We've been meeting regularly over the last several months and look forward to coming out with more recommendations, more initiatives that will help us take on this issue. It's always great to be able to partner with the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce on any number of issues, this certainly being one. Now, Jim Rooney, President and CEO of the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce.
Well, thank you, Attorney General. It's been wonderful working with you and your office on such an important issue as student debt, and thank you for embracing this issue with such passion and persistence. I also want to thank Treasurer Goldberg and her team for the important work that they're doing across the board, but particularly with SEED Massachusetts, helping Massachusetts residents plan for and save for college. And thank you also to Gabrielle and the team at uAspire and Rob and ACOM for the work they're doing to help students on their path to higher ed and for their partnership in the Student Debt Working Group. At the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce, we believe that in order to sustain our regional competitiveness, our knowledge-based business enterprises, and indeed our system of capitalism in this country, we need to provide for our future workforce with the knowledge and the tools they need to enhance their own value and productivity and their opportunities for social and economic mobility. When we surveyed our members at the end of last year, they told us that talent, education, and training should be among the top 5 policy priorities for the Chamber of Commerce and the business community. We know this requires a united focus, including the business community and government, on early childhood care and education, K through 12 education, and post-secondary education and workforce development and training programs. We need innovation in all 3 dimensions of our education system, but today we're focused on post-secondary education. In Massachusetts, our talented workforce isn't just about driving the economy, it's about our competitive advantage. We know that to retain our Massachusetts reputation for having the most talented workforce in the world, we have some work to do. More and more, I am hearing from my members that the cost of higher education and the cost of living in our region are barriers for business looking to retain and attract the best of the best to their workforce. On top of this, we know that not all Massachusetts residents have equal access and opportunity to higher education options and/or the skills and training they'll need to help support our state's highly skilled, knowledge-based economy. So this is not just a business issue. This is an economic mobility issue that will negatively impact our state's long-term competitiveness if not addressed. When the Attorney General and I had that conversation and we talked about a student debt working group, I knew it was the perfect opportunity to bring together the public, private, and nonprofit sectors to get all the stakeholders at the table and make progress in addressing these pressing challenges. And clearly, we do have the right people at the table, because less than a year after the formation of this group, we're already standing here with a product to show from this partnership. I'm so proud of the work being presented today and pleased to know that students and their families will now have a wealth of resources to help them better understand and make informed decisions about their higher education and financial aid options. When we help students and parents understand and make smart choices about borrowing for their education, we also help them plan for college. In this country, 87% of our children attend public K through 12 schools. Free public education through high school was a 20th century American innovation that helped fuel the U.S. economic growth and the economic mobility that we saw in that century. But students and families pay for post-secondary education. And yes, there is some subsidies, some scholarships, some grant programs, and some loan programs to help. But in reality, this is an education marketplace of buyers and sellers. Any marketplace needs transparency and informed consumers about their investments and purchases, about costs and financing, and about outcomes and results. Our goal is not only to get students through college with as little debt as possible, but also to ensure that they are comfortably living, working, and enjoying life in Greater Boston as contributors to our economy. Increasing the transparency around financial aid and repayment options is one important step in achieving that goal. There's certainly more work to do, but I'm confident with the commitment of our elected officials in partnering with the business community, our educational institutions, and the many nonprofit organizations dedicated to getting more Massachusetts residents to their degrees, we will continue to move the dial on student debt. I want to once again thank the Attorney General, the Treasurer, and others for their leadership on these critical issues to the business community, and I look forward to more collaboration in the coming months and years. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jim. And now I'll introduce Rob Mccarron from the Association of Colleges and Universities in Massachusetts.
Good morning. Thank you, Attorney General Healey, Treasurer Goldberg, Jim Rooney at the Chamber, and others for all the work and time that you've invested in this important issue. ACOM looks forward to working collaboratively with you. ACOM is an association of 58 private nonprofit colleges and universities located throughout the Commonwealth, from Williamstown to Boston. When a financial aid award letter is received, it marks the culmination of a tremendous amount of hard work on the part of students and their families. It also reflects a deliberate and thoughtful process on behalf of admissions teams and financial aid officers at colleges and universities. Students apply to a particular college or university because they believe it will be the best fit for them, from academic strengths to campus size to financial aid. In return, each institution looks to welcoming students who bring diverse talents and interests to their incoming class, benefiting the entire campus community. ACOM's members are dedicated to fostering a successful relationship with all students and their families, and they understand that these relationships begin with important matriculation and financial decisions. Our message today: every student should not hesitate to contact the college if they have any questions about their financial aid award letter or any part of the admissions process. There are resources to help families pay for college. Last year, ACOM member colleges and universities awarded more than $600 million in grants and scholarships just to Massachusetts students and their families. And these are funds that do not have to be repaid. ACOM looks for opportunities to partner with others to find ways to address the issue of college affordability. Last year, we worked with Jim Rooney in the Chamber, the Mass Business Roundtable, Governor Baker, Senate President Rosenberg, Speaker DeLeo, and legislators, including Senators Rodericks, Donahue, and Moore, and Representative Wagner, to pass a law that established a state tax deduction for contributions that Massachusetts families make to 529 college savings plans. This tax deduction provides an important incentive for families to start saving so much earlier for their child's college education. It also creates an annual opportunity to promote financial literacy so that families are much better prepared from both a financial and a knowledge perspective well before award letters are arriving at home. Treasurer Goldberg has done a lot of work on financial literacy programs and in helping open college savings accounts for low-income children as they enter kindergarten. Next week, ACOM is holding an event at the State House we call Financial Aid 101. It is hosted by the House and Senate Chair of the Higher Education Committee. We convene a panel of financial aid directors, other experts, and students to help educate legislators and staff about the entire financial aid process, including how to read and understand financial award letters. We do this so that legislators and staff can be another source for their constituents in answering any questions about these award letters. Again, we look forward to continue to work with everyone here to help students and families as they decide which college is the best fit for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. And now I'm introducing Ruth Kerrigan, who is a guidance counselor at the great Whitman-Hanson Regional High School, but also is the head right now of the Association of School Guidance Counselors in Massachusetts. She is literally on the front lines advising our young people and students as to choices and opportunities. We're grateful to her and for those other guidance counselors across the state for the work that they do, and we're delighted to be able to partner with them, particularly in an effort to get out this information to as many students as possible. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. For somebody who is on the front line, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here because I work with students and families on the high school level every single day. And I know that my colleagues across the state of Massachusetts, the other school counselors, are doing the same thing. And we're working hard to try to make our students have awesome opportunities for post-secondary planning and education. And I think that we can all agree, probably everybody in this room, that we want our students to reach higher, to pursue training and education past high school. As a school counselor, one of the goals of mine and everyone who works for me in my department is to help students make a plan for life after high school. That's really what we do. And you know, our students listen to us. They do work hard. They work hard to get good grades. They work hard to complete the college application process. They come to all the family programs that we offer. they apply to college and they get in. And then all of a sudden, it gets a lot more confusing, because I think many families and students put a lot of emphasis on the process of getting into college, but not necessarily thinking about how they're actually going to pay for college. And then, when they start to look at those financial aid award letters, it gets very, very confusing. I have spent a lot of time over the years helping students and their families decipher their letters and to try to help them figure out what they've been awarded. Often it's very difficult, as you've heard before, to compare one award letter to another, because schools use different formats, schools may use different terminology, and it can be very, very confusing. And probably most importantly is that very rarely do you ever see in an easy way what the bottom line is. What will the student be expected to pay after all sources of financial aid have been exhausted? They often are also very confused about student loans that they have to pay back and gift aid that they don't have to pay back. Those things really need to be very clear on a financial aid package for students to be able to make informed decisions. As a school counselor and president of the Massachusetts School Counselors Association, I believe that anything that we can do to make financial aid award letters more clear, concise, and transparent will be a great benefit to the students and families across the Commonwealth. And I applaud the efforts of this committee, and I thank you for the work that you've done to make that possible.
Thank you, Ruth. At this time, we'd like to open it up for questions.
How much of that student loan, the bulk in student loans, do you think accounts for confusion and misunderstanding?
That's probably hard to quantify, but what strikes me is that we've got families that are facing here in Massachusetts and across this country a staggering amount of student loan debt. And as Jim says, this isn't just about making sure that we do all we can to help these students and to help their families. This also is about our own economic development and prosperity, because this is a real drag on the economy. If you're talking $1.3 trillion in student loan debt in this country and growing, you know it's an issue. In fact, the fastest growing class of people in debt right now, student loan debt, are people in their 50s. And we know from our working group, where we have financial services firms at the table, that impacts how much people can actually put into retirement or savings. So this is a big issue. It's why we're taking this on. Anything we can do to make sure that students are more informed, that parents and families are more informed as consumers when they're evaluating award packages is where we want to be. It's not that we don't want people to invest in higher education. We do. And in Massachusetts, we are so lucky because we have the best higher education possibilities in the entire, not just country, but world, right? We just want to make sure that students make decisions that are best for them, best for their families, and understand what it is that they're going to be ultimately responsible for. Because in my office, too often we see situations where people get behind, get into default, and we want to do everything we can to minimize that from ever happening.